Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Today we're diving headfirst into a fascinating paradox in the world of science. The art of being wrong.
The art of being wrong.
You wouldn't think those two ideas go together, would you?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
But the truth is, the pursuit of scientific discovery is paved with its fair share of detours and aha moments that turn out to be more like, oh no moments.
Right.
We're not talking about simple blunders here, like forgetting a formula or mixing up
This
chemicals.
is about something much deeper, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's about the scientific process itself. It's about having the humility to admit when our assumptions might be leading us astray, and viewing those mistakes not as failures, but as opportunities for incredible growth and learning.
So less oops and more, that's curious.
We're going to dig into how those moments can actually spark groundbreaking discoveries with insights from astrophysicist Rocky Kolb. He makes a really interesting distinction right out of the gate. There's a big difference between being wrong and, as he puts it, being stupid.
I like that.
He's getting at the idea that in science, being wrong isn't necessarily a sign of incompetence. It's often a sign that there's more to uncover, more to explore. You have to be bold enough to test your hypotheses, to put forth your ideas, understanding that they might not be completely accurate.
It's more about the approach, the journey, than having all the answers right away.
That's it. It's a delicate balance. You need the confidence to believe in your ideas enough to pursue them passionately, but you also need the humility to accept when you might be off track, to be open to revising your thinking as new evidence emerges.
It makes sense. It reminds me of that saying, the only people who don't make mistakes are the ones who don't do anything. And in science, staying stagnant gets you nowhere.
Exactly. Science requires you to take risks, to push the boundaries of knowledge, even if it means the possibility of being wrong. We often put scientists on this pedestal, imagining them as these infallible geniuses who always have the right answer. But history paints a different picture, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Think about Galileo. Here's a scientist who revolutionized our understanding of the universe. But even he wasn't immune to making errors.
He made some pretty significant ones, actually. For instance, he firmly believed that the tides were caused by the Earth's rotation, not the moon's gravitational pull.
Really? That's surprising. You'd think with his understanding of celestial bodies, he'd have nailed that one.
It seems obvious now, but you have to remember he was working with a different understanding of physics than we have today. What's crucial is that even though he got the tides wrong, his audacity to challenge the accepted view of the cosmos, the idea that Earth was the center of everything, that's what ultimately led to his groundbreaking discoveries.
So those mistakes, even Galileo's, were all part of the process. They were stepping stones to a more accurate, more nuanced understanding of how the universe functions. If even the most brilliant minds in history, people like Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein, made mistakes, where does that leave the rest of us? Does it mean we're all just wandering around in the dark?
That's such a good question. It's a question that leads us to one of the most fascinating concepts from Kolb's work: blind watchers of the sky.
Okay, now that sounds a little ominous. Blind watchers of the sky. Tell me more.
The phrase originates from the astronomer Tycho Brahe, who used it to describe how, even with the most advanced tools and knowledge available, scientists of his time were still limited in their understanding of the universe.
Because they were missing a key piece of the puzzle.
In a way, yes. They were blind to certain phenomena because they lacked the theoretical framework to even conceive of them. Imagine looking at the same night sky we do, but understanding it completely differently.
And Kolb's point is that even today, with all our advancements, telescopes that can peer into the distant past, supercomputers that crunch unimaginable amounts of data, we are still, in a sense, blind watchers. We're limited by the current prevailing theories, by what we think we know.
And just like Brahe and his fellow scientists, our assumptions, those ingrained beliefs about how the universe operates, can sometimes prevent us from seeing what's right in front of us. So we have all this fancy technology, but in many ways, we're still just scratching the surface.
It's humbling, isn't it? Knowing that there's so much more out there swirling just beyond our grasp. So how do we become better watchers, so to speak? If we accept this idea that we're all a bit blind to the bigger picture, what are the steps we can take to start seeing more clearly?
Well, I think it starts with cultivating a sense of humility, especially when faced with the vast unknowns of the universe.
You're absolutely right. We're constantly making new discoveries that challenge our existing understanding of the cosmos. Things like dark matter, dark energy, the multiverse, these are all concepts that push the boundaries of what we thought we knew about the universe.
And those concepts often come about because we realize our current models are flawed or incomplete. right? Like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Exactly.
Yeah.
A perfect example of this is the Hubble tension. It's this ongoing puzzle in cosmology where two different methods for measuring the universe's expansion rate are giving us slightly different answers.
So which measurement is right?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But here's where Kolb's perspective is so fascinating. He'd likely argue that the discrepancy itself is a positive thing. It means we're asking the right questions, that we're pushing our knowledge to its limits.
So instead of getting bogged down and trying to prove one method right and the other wrong, scientists are actually invigorated by this discrepancy.
Absolutely. It tells us there's something we don't fully understand, yet something fundamental about the universe that we're missing. It's like a breadcrumb trail leading us toward a deeper truth.
It's like those discrepancies are clues pointing us towards some even bigger discovery waiting to be made. It's a reminder that science thrives on uncertainty.
Precisely. That's what makes this field so exhilarating. It's not about having all the answers. It's about embracing the unknown and being willing to revise our understanding as we gather more information. And speaking of embracing new information, Kolb talks a lot about the importance of mentorship in his own journey as a scientist. It's a reminder of the human element present in scientific exploration.
That's so important. What was it about Kolb's mentor that made such a significant impact?
Kolb attributes much of his success to his mentor, Willie Fowler, a renowned nuclear astrophysicist.
Yeah.
Fowler had this incredible talent for cultivating a culture of curiosity and risk-taking in his lab.
That's so refreshing. I feel like we often associate science with this pressure to be perfect, to get everything right, which can be intimidating.
You're right, that kind of environment can really stifle creativity and innovation. But Fowler understood that mistakes are an inherent part of the learning process, especially in a field as complex and ever-evolving as science.
So he wasn't one of those intimidating mentors who expected perfection from his students.
It's not. Kolb shares a great anecdote about how Fowler celebrated his students' achievements, even when he wasn't directly involved in their research. He viewed their accomplishments as a reflection of the collaborative and supportive environment he'd fostered, which is really powerful.
It really is. It sounds like Fowler understood that science isn't just about individual brilliance. It's about fostering a community where people feel empowered to take risks and learn from each other's insights.
Exactly. And that kind of supportive environment is essential for nurturing the next generation of scientists. It gives them the confidence to pursue their own ideas, even if those ideas are unconventional or challenge the established norms.
It makes me think about how we often shy away from uncertainty in our own lives. We're taught to have a plan, to know the answer, to strive for that perfect outcome. But science seems to embrace uncertainty as a fundamental part of the process.
Absolutely. And there's a lot we can learn from that approach, even if we're not scientists ourselves. Embracing uncertainty, being comfortable with not having all the answers, that's where real growth and discovery happen both in science and in life.
It's about being open to those moments we discussed earlier, those unexpected turns that might lead to something extraordinary.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe even change the world in the process. Because the reality is, even with all our scientific advancements, our current understanding of the universe is still very much a work in progress.
You're saying there are still plenty of blind spots we need to illuminate.
Absolutely. Kolb points to the multiverse theory as a prime example.
Ah, yes. The idea that there might be multiple universes existing alongside our own. It's a mind-boggling concept.
It really is. And while the multiverse theory is still highly speculative, it forces us to confront the limitations of our current understanding of the cosmos. It challenges us to consider possibilities that might seem outlandish or even impossible based on what we currently know.
So even if the multiverse theory turns out to be wrong, just exploring it pushes the boundaries of scientific thought.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. These kinds of big, challenging questions, they force us to be more creative, to think more critically, to come up with new methods and technologies for investigating the universe. It's like flexing our scientific muscles preparing for the next big intellectual leap.
It's like that quote from Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less.
I love that quote. It perfectly captures the spirit of what we've been talking about today. The more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. But instead of being daunted by that, we should be excited by it.
Because it's those unanswered questions, those areas where we're still blind, that hold the greatest potential for groundbreaking discoveries.
Absolutely. And it's often in those moments where we're willing to admit we don't have all the answers, where we're open to being wrong, that the most exciting breakthroughs occur. It's about embracing the unknown and having the courage to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out.
It's inspiring, isn't it? This idea that admitting we don't have all the answers can be the catalyst for some of the most incredible breakthroughs. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the art of being wrong in science, what's the key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
For me, it boils down to this. Embracing the possibility of being wrong isn't about celebrating ignorance or abandoning the scientific method altogether. It's about recognizing that science is a journey of continuous discovery. And inherent in that journey are moments of acknowledging when we've gone off course, revising our understanding based on new evidence, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what we think we know.
It's like that famous quote, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. The deeper we delve into any field, the more we uncover these vast landscapes of the unknown. And honestly, that's incredibly exciting. It keeps us curious, it keeps us asking questions, and it keeps science moving forward.
I love that. It's about shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing being wrong as a failure, what if we looked at it as an invitation? An invitation to explore uncharted territories, to challenge our assumptions, and to approach the world with a healthy dose of curiosity.
Because on the other side of that wrong answer, on the other side of that initial hypothesis that missed the mark, there might be an even more incredible discovery waiting to be unearthed.
Exactly. And that's something we can all take to heart, regardless of whether we're scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, or just individuals navigating the complexities of life. The willingness to admit when we're wrong, to learn from our mistakes, and to adapt our thinking, that's where real growth and innovation flourish.
So to everyone listening, let this be your permission slip to embrace a little wrongness in your life. Don't shy away from uncertainty. Ask those what-if questions. Challenge the status quo. You never know what incredible insights might be waiting on the other side of a mistake.
Beautifully said. Embrace the unknown, stay curious, and never stop exploring.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope this episode encourages you to approach your own journeys of discovery with a renewed sense of curiosity and an openness to the possibility of being wrong. Until next time, keep those questions coming.